Hi everyone, I'm Sandy Chong from the Australian Hairdressing Council, and I've got a special guest today, and it's Anne Lederman, also known as Anne Burgermeestre. And the reason for that is she is the wife of the late Frank Burgermeestre, and she really has some really wonderful things to talk about, as in her career as well as Frank's. And so we thought we would just have a chat about what's happened to hairdressing, I guess, and education and training just over the years. But I've met Anne a few times now. She just has some really amazing, I guess, things to say and an outlook on our industry. So we thought we'd have a chat about education and training and just hairdressing where we are right now. So thank you for joining us, Anne. It's really great to meet you.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you for inviting me onto your program.
Now, let's have a chat about, who you are and a little bit about, I guess, about your background. And, because obviously you were married to the late Frank, and he was the Australian Hairdresser of the Year. Beautiful person, incredible educator, incredible trainer, and beautiful hairdresser as well. So tell me about your journey with Frank and hairdressing too.
Well, I sort of fell into hairdressing. Frank used to cut my hair when I was at high school, and I always enjoyed going into the salon where he was the manager in the city in Melbourne. And I just thought one day, gee, it'd be really fun to work in that place. I think I'm going to apply for a job. So I did. And I did my 4-year apprenticeship, and I was very, very blessed that Frank was my teacher. I was his, I guess, his sort of personal slave in a way, and in return, he passed on his gift of hairdressing to me. And as a result of that, I've had a fantastic journey through hairdressing.
That's amazing. And when I was 13, I knew I wanted to be a hairdresser. My cousin was a hairdresser, and so was my aunt. And one day I looked at them and I thought they were the coolest people on the planet, and they always seemed to have fun. And where I did my apprenticeship, when I walked in, I just couldn't get over the culture, the vibe, the tribe, the creativity, how colourful the people were. And I just loved everything. What I didn't love, though, which was really interesting, is they didn't do training. And we absolutely were desperate for training. Now, I remember I eventually left that salon purely for that reason, that I wanted to learn more and be more. And it wasn't that I didn't love being there. It was a great salon. The work was fantastic, but I wanted to train. And so I left, and the salon I went to, in fact, trained 2 nights a week. And back in those days, well, you did that outside of your work hours. And because you just wanted to be there, you wanted to, I couldn't wait to be technically excellent at everything that I did. But with Hugh, you had an incredible trainer. He was renowned for his training. So
I was very fortunate.
Like?
We also had to do training 2 nights a week. Yeah, but
so what did that look like? What kind of training did you do? Because
we did everything initially. All your basics, your cutting, blow drying hair, colouring, etc. And then in our 3rd year, we then had to choose, because I worked in a salon where it was, they followed a Sassoon methodology. The owner of the salon, Robert Leopold, he was English, and he would go back to Sassoons every year and do some upskilling. And so that was the sort of hairdressing that I learnt initially. And then in my 3rd year, I had to choose, did I want to be a cutter or did I want to be a colourist? And I decided that I wanted to do cutting. And in my 4th year, I was a fully booked hairdresser. I was, had my own clientele, and yeah, I went on from there. So I've had a very, I guess, successful and enjoyable career. And a lot of my clients have known me since I was 17. So they've been with me. We've grown old together, you could say.
And so just from a personal level, so you obviously married your boss. Is that what you're telling me before?
Yes, I did.
That's true. And how long were you married for?
36 years.
Okay, that's really nice.
Yeah.
And so when we look at the industry today and we look at education training, it's very different to when we did our 4-year apprenticeships, and we trained 2 nights a week, and we had to have a cutting model. In fact, I had to have 2. In fact, I remember also on Saturdays there was a senior stylist that took me under her wing, and I used to go to her place, and I also used to do cuts on Saturday afternoons. In those days, you didn't work all day Saturdays, and and I'd buy her a gift every week, as a thank you. But I just so wanted to learn. And so when we look at the training that we went through, that obviously doesn't happen nowadays. It's a little bit different. What do you think is missing from our industry now when we look at, I guess, technical ability, and also when we think about training and education? How do you think things have changed?
I think what's really badly missing is foundation skills. That's what I think is really missing. And whilst in Victoria we were locked up endlessly, I did a lot of research in hairdressing education. Oh my God, I watched so many hours of education. And what the conclusion I came to is that there's a lot of postgrad education that is, inspirational, aspirational. However, if you don't have really good foundation skills, you're never going to be able to execute what you're looking at. It's just not going to happen. If you don't have foundation skills, you're not going to understand what you're looking at. You're going to enjoy it, but I'm not sure that you're going to be able to execute it. And that's what I think is the greatest thing missing. I really do. And I constantly hear hairdressers talking about how hairdressers don't want to cut hair anymore. They just want to trim hair. And not only do I hear the hairdressers saying that, I hear the clients saying it too. I don't advertise. I still work 3 days a week. I don't use social media. I don't do any of those things. And I have clients referred to me all the time. Why? Because people want a haircut. They don't want to trim. They want a haircut. So that's what I think is really missing in our industry today. And I think it's really sad. I really do.
That's interesting. And I think, unfortunately, fashion has played a big part of that with the, we've got beach waves and long hair and balayage, etc. And, much of it does look beautiful. But if that is your only skill, then of course, they have missed out on a lot of those foundation skills. Now, the Australian Hairdressing Council, really has a, we have a lot of, I guess, meetings on this. We have 3 directors on our board that represent education and training, and underneath that we have another whole committee that represents us nationally. Okay, and then underneath that we actually have a whole lot of members who are very passionate about education and training. And as you know, the training package is very dated now. It doesn't have the flexibility that our industry needs. And, I know that if you are very passionate about the foundation skills, it would certainly be great for you to make sure that you contribute to the conversation as well. And also the consultation when it comes to a new training package. And the new training package will be put together by the Jobs and Skills Council, and ours is called Skills Equipped. And part of that is a lot of consultation on what does the industry need. And so, obviously I hope that you will have a strong voice there as well. Because look, I also do believe that, because fashion changes the way we do things, and it tends to dictate where our hairdressers do go. That foundation, those foundation skills of cutting short hair and understanding balance, really, so I guess, are not trained on as much as they used to be, maybe in our time, let's say.
I think that's really detrimental, because no matter what fashion, evolves into, if you have really good basic foundation skills, you can do anything. I mean, I have people show me pictures of what they want. I don't need someone to show me how to do it. I know how to do it. I know how to make those shapes. It's just simply having those basic skills. You can make those shapes.
Yeah.
You don't need to change the basics. You just don't.
Yeah. And it's even with curly hair, you know, how many actually do hair like your beautiful curls? How many do that really, really well? And, you know, where I work, we have curly hair experts, but, you know, and they have wait lists because, you know, that is another skill that not everyone can do. But that's really interesting. So if there was a message that that we could give the industry at the moment when it comes to education and training, what would be your message?
Personally, what I've heard, listening to the conversation that you had last week, I feel the focus is constantly on the mechanics and no focus on the quality of the content. That's what I think's missing.
Yeah.
I never hear anybody talking about the content. I just hear them constantly talking about the mechanics, just the process. But what about the quality of the content?
Yeah.
Is that not important? I think it is the most important thing. How you deliver content, to me, that's the secondary part of it. It's also important, but if there's an expression, if you put shit in, you get shit out. Sorry, I don't mean to be crude, but it's like collecting data. If you put rubbish data in, then you're going to get rubbish out. So to me, that's what we need to be addressing. We need to be addressing the content, not just the process.
Yeah. And there's a whole, I guess it gets really complicated when it comes to, what's behind, education and training at the moment with this system, and hopefully with our new Jobs and Skills Council, Skills Equipped, that we're going to see some changes there in the very near future. We're going to do, the AHC is going to do a number of videos on some very successful hairdressers or in fact, very successful people, full stop. And, Frank Burgermeestre and yourself, of course, are part of the story of Australian hairdressing history. And I think the one thing that's unique about people who are really successful is they never worked 9 to 5. They really put their hand up for every opportunity. They turned up to everything that was on as well. And they really embraced education and training. And as I said, in our day, I know that it was very different. You and I would put our hand up to attend anything and everything. Yes, it was outside of our work hours. No, we didn't get paid. It's a very different world now. But we did go to everything. And, if there was anything on in education training, we were there. And because we wanted to be better and we wanted to be more than where we currently were at. And
I think that there also needs to be an understanding that payment isn't always in money. Payment comes in many different forms. If I think about all the things that Frank did for no payment, however, he understood that the payment comes in another way, and he, no matter whether he was getting paid or not, he always gave 110%, because what you do professionally speaks volumes about your integrity and who you are as a professional. That's the payment. The money comes anyway.
Exactly. And see, with Frank, he was very giving, very giving with his time and his training. And you can't take skills or training back off someone, do you know what I mean, when you've given them. And so I know that he was really generous with that. And I think when you find someone who is an incredible trainer, then, well, nowadays with social media, we need to follow them. But when there are courses on, it's like attend them and be at them. If you want to be more and if you want to have strong foundation skills, but also to, what comes with attending a lot of these courses is the inspiration, the motivation. And, we all need that sometimes, even if you are technically excellent and booked out. In fact, do you know what's interesting? Those who are technically excellent booked out, they're always the ones in the front row anyway, and they're always the ones that are keen to learn. And that's the one thing I found in my career is you never stop learning. And the day that you do, that's a real, you think that you know it all. I think that's a real shame. And so I think no matter how long you've been in the industry, it's always embrace and be a sponge over and over and over again, because you never stop learning.
Sandy, it's fun. I'm very fortunate that, you know, because a lot of my clients have been with me for a very long time, they trust me and they just let me do whatever I want to do. And like last week, I had so much fun because I did all sorts of new things that I got my inspiration from watching some new looks on. I'm a member of Sassoon Online, and I just got a bit of inspiration from a couple of things that I saw. And yeah, it just turned my week into such fun. I had a great time. And, you know, when you've been doing this for about 50 years, if you can still say that you have fun, I think that's pretty good.
I think that's pretty good too. You know, and as I said, where I did my apprenticeship, it was fun. Like, I'd never worked in a place where they had music before. Now I'm really showing my age, do you know what I mean? But fun music, good music. And as I said, everyone was colourful, but I loved doing our guests, like enjoying my time with them as well. And, you know, you said that you're based in Melbourne, and I mean, the pandemic was brutal. But the one thing that I think the one thing that the pandemic really did bring out to our communities is just how valuable a visit to the hairdressers is, and how we really do contribute to the self-esteem and also the confidence.
Sandy, a hairdresser's job, this is just my opinion, but a
Oh,
hairdresser's job is to ensure that when the client leaves the salon, they look and feel better than when they arrived. That's my job.
I agree. And, you know, we used to say that our goal was to make them feel like $1 million, make them look like $1 million, but it didn't cost them $1 million anyway. And so that's you know, that's one thing that we would always say. But, you know, we contribute to their mental health. And, you know, I think our role as a hairdresser, you know, if we have our fundamentals right, as you say, we're technically excellent. But, you know, we have so many life skills, and, you know, we are that accidental counsellor, and we do create incredible, wonderful relationships with our clients, just exactly as you said. You know, you have fun, you have a laugh, and they leave the salon as, you know, feeling better about themselves, but really enjoying the relationship with their hairdresser. And that's what we're all about. You know, it is more than the finish. It's more than an Instagram photo. It's about everything else, and everything starts from foundations. So thank you so much for the conversation and for your time today. And, you know, you're so right. When we think about education training, where do we need to go back to? It's strong foundations, and, you know, maybe thinking about being at everything you can be at, going to everything, putting your hand up for every opportunity to be a better hairdresser, or the best hairdresser you can possibly be, because I think your clientele also reflects that as well, and how booked out you are. If you're not booked out, then that's not a good sign. A good sign is when you're booked out and you've got a wait list as well.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thanks for your time. Take care.
Speak soon. Bye.